Boxing Truth here, back with another video. Make sure to smash that like button, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow me on Twitter. I finally watched the Teofimo Sandor Martin fight. A lot of feedback from the fans in regards to that fight, on how Teofimo looked, whether Teofimo still has it, whether he even won the fight. Sandor Martin was robbed, according to some, was robbed of a second knockdown. Before this fight, right when after Teofimo knocked out his first comeback opponent, Pedro Campa, I wrote on my Twitter account that I think Teofimo is done. He's not taking over. The confidence has been ruined. George Kambosos took his soul. And going into this fight, I wanted so badly to be wrong about what I said about Teofimo, because I'm still a fan. Still like the explosiveness, the fighting style. But it's just crazy, that his team around him, not the smartest bunch. His father as well, his manager. They're the reasons why he's in this position. If I was managing Teo, the Lomachenko rematch would have been next. Not some unknown Aussie as a mandatory. That was his biggest mistake right there. But after watching the fight against Sandor Martin, I'm not going to say that Teofimo's completely done. Is he the same since the Lomachenko fight? No. Something is off. He didn't look good at all against Pedro Campa until he knocked him out. And then when he knocked him down, you saw the confidence back. You saw what made him the type of fighter he was right when he stopped him. This fight, he was in there with a stinker. Did Sandor Martin win the fight? No, I don't think he did. I felt Teofimo won the fight. 7-3, 6-4 with the knockdown. The reason I feel that way was because his problem was he was too defensive, just relying on his distance and counterpunch style to really score points, but he wasn't doing it enough. And he didn't create any offense in the fight. It was all Teofimo who brought the offense and brought the fight, and in my opinion was just a little more effective. Landed heavier blows, landed better shots, landed better body shots, was a way more aggressive. Wasn't effective most of the time. It wasn't a great performance, but I still felt he won a competitive but clear decision. Just wasn't impressed with Martin. Just not active enough. Didn't let his hands go enough. Didn't create any offense. Didn't step to Teo. He was mostly just moving and trying to counter, and it was few and far between, which is why I felt he lost the fight. And honestly, I never want to see Sandor Martin fight ever again. I'm just not interested in his style. He's a stinker. Not the type of guy you match an explosive guy with. A guy with knockout power and the athleticism of Teofimo. But he was a necessary test. I still felt Teofimo passed it, but not with flying colors. It wasn't a great performance. It wasn't the type of performance where you could say, you know what, this guy is the future at 140. He's going to take over the division. But I'm just going to go and say Sandor's style wasn't the best for Teofimo. I'm not going to count him out just yet. Maybe changes do need to be made according to his team. He needs to get rid of his manager. That's for one thing. He needs to establish a much better jab. This fight would have been a lot easier if he had an authoritative jab, and he didn't. He mostly just rushed in and, threw the right hook, the right hand to the body with overhand right, leaping left hooks. If he had a jab, this fight would have been a whole lot easier. So Going forward, Teofimo wasn't happy with the performance. Obviously, he wasn't very effective, but I felt he was a little more effective than Sandor Martin, only because he landed the better shots and a little bit more flashier shots, more power punches between the two. So what does Top Rank do with him? Do they cash him out? Do they feel he's done? I think a better style, a more aggressive fighter that Teofimo can be matched up with will finally answer those questions, whether he still has it, whether he's going to go anywhere at 140 pounds. We need to see an aggressive style here, an aggressive elite fighter. Jose Ramirez would be the perfect opponent for Teofimo Lopez to see if he's truly going to do anything in this division. It will definitely answer the questions. Ramirez is a boxer, puncher, puts on a lot of pressure. He will bring it to Teofimo Lopez, not a stinker like Sandor Martin. Subiro Matias, would love to see that fight. Too bad he's with PBC, so it's not going to happen. But Regis Prograis, oh my God, like people just have short memories, do you? He's number one, really? Based on what? He's number one? Y'all just gonna forget about the ass whooping Taylor gave him? We just gonna forget about that? Until he beats him, he ain't number one. So cut that shit out. But Regis Prograis would be a perfect opponent. I know a lot of people favor Prograis. After watching this last fight, it'll be a risky bet to bet on Teofimo. He might even be the underdog in that fight. Most likely he will be. But I'm not a believer in Prograis. He beat Cepeda. It was a good win. Probably his best performance since he got whooped. But he was a heavy favorite in that fight. But he did get the stoppage. He gets credit for that. But Teofimo Prograis would be the perfect fight to answer those questions. But we're most likely not going to get that fight. So it looks like Josh Taylor or Teofimo Lopez is most likely going to be next if Taylor gets past his freaking delayed rematch with Catterall. But that fight will answer the questions of where Teofimo's at. I need to see him in there with a bigger puncher, a guy with a more aggressive style, until I'm fully convinced that he's done. He ain't gonna do shit. He's not gonna win a world title at 140. Maybe he is done. Maybe he doesn't have it. I mean, he's definitely not the same since the Lomachenko fight. The confidence was definitely affected after the Kambosos whooping. You saw it in the Campa fight. This fight, he was in there with a stinker. I didn't see. He didn't get dominated. He wasn't schooled. He was just in there with a guy that wasn't gonna bring the fight to him, and he didn't look good trying to chase him or trying to land big shots. But Martin just wasn't aggressive enough and wasn't effective enough either. So you can't expect to get a decision on the road fighting like that. So I'm not 100% convinced that Teofimo is completely done. He's still a young guy. He can still improve. He still has a lot of attributes, a lot of physical talent. But he's got to establish a much better jab. The jab has to be the key if he's gonna defeat the likes of a Josh Taylor or Regis Prograis. The Pedraza fight would have been a lot easier for Teofimo, but he got Sandor Martin instead. I think the Pedraza fight would have been more action packed, would have been a lot better in ring action, but yeah, it wasn't a great performance, but I still felt Teofimo won. Does his stock rise from that fight? No. Does it make any believers that he's gonna beat the elites at junior welterweight? No. But I'm still not 100% convinced, and I need to see him in there with the likes of a Ramirez, a Subiro Matias, a Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis. Guys who are much more aggressive, bigger punchers. That will tell me, that will fully convince me if he's done or not. But we'll see. Not a not a great performance, but still a win is a win. And we'll see what's next. It could be Taylor, man. It could be Taylor. He's probably gonna get that fight. I mean, it's an in-house fight. There's no one else within the top ranked stable to go after it except for Ramirez. If they want to take another fight prior to that, maybe that would be well suited. But yeah, I'm not 100% off the train of Teofimo Lopez, but right now it's definitely pretty empty. There's not many believers anymore. But we'll see if he can bounce back against a much more threatening opponent for his next fight. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.